Sporting Journal Radio, presented by Onyx.
All right, last week we had Anna V Outdoors here on the show, and we talked to her for so long we couldn't get it all in last week's show. So here is the second part of our interview with Anna V Outdoors. So are you training dogs again then? Do you have a kennel?
Okay. I'm not training dogs anymore, but I did open my kennel back up. It's a great place. I put my heart and soul into it. The property here is amazing. This originally was a golf course. And now, we were going to put cows on it, but we ended up putting cows somewhere else because my dad decided to put a fall festival in the backyard. And we're
just going to put a fall festival in the backyard.
We're just going to put a fall festival back here. So I lived across the county line in my dream house in a little Mayberry I'd wanted to live in since I was a teenager. And then the dog thing happened and I ran out of room there, and he was like, well, just come on over here with us over to the golf course. We call it the golf course. None of us play golf. I mean, my dad swung a golf club one time on the cruise ship. And so I was like, okay, I'll turn the cart barn into a kennel. It's a 40 by 70. I mean, it's perfect. So we tore it down to the concrete and rebuilt it. And, you can put a lot of dogs in there. And I had amazing property to run and train with the fairways and the ponds and everything. And so
a golf course sounds perfect for dog training.
Yeah.
I know. And so a lot of my friends in the retriever world love to come out here and just run marks just to practice to get on different ground. But this just wasn't in my calling. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a shooter and I love running dogs, but just my kids' age and the season of life, it was juggling too much. And so I was like, okay, what am I the best at? And so that's kind of what happened. I'm going to run dogs. I'm going to let somebody else train them. And I'm going to have a heck of a time doing it and enjoy doing that with my kids.
So you're running dogs, you're mowing fairways in the backyard or whatever you're doing back there.
Yeah, we're just going to board sporting dogs. So we've got double barrel kennel, home away from home for your sporting dogs. And I've just put a boarding program together for these high energy dogs that's used to getting so much activity built in their day. So we're catering to that. We're going to keep a really small number, and depending on their training, if they've got a great solid recall and stuff, like we can do water days and we can get them out, in the big fields. And then I've put up a little agility course just to have fun with them while they're here with us.
Sure. So I'm just trying to list all the things that you're doing. So then you're designing hats, and then you're also a pistol instructor, certified
not
pistol
anymore.
instructor. Oh, you're not doing it anymore.
I hung that up. That's how I got started. Yeah. Caleb Copeland, he lives right down the road from me. So he has Copeland Production, Copeland Creative. I don't know if you've met him or not, but he's a producer in the big game space. And he was my first friend in the outdoors because he was a local guy. And he loved what I was doing in the pistol world and all this stuff. And I'll never forget calling him one day and saying, I'm quitting this. I went against his advice and stop training all the ladies with the pistols. And it was fun. I mean, we were in a silage pit shooting pistols all the time, and on an old dairy farm that had been closed, and they had switched to crops, and it was fun. Like, this whole thing's just been a journey. So I'm only doing 3 things. I've got my kennel that I'm boarding. I've got my podcast, which we haven't talked about, All American Wing Shooting Podcast. And that's really been spun out of just gratitude and showcasing the people that mentored me. I've never had a female mentor, but I've had so many adopted family uncles and dads along the way that just taught me something and then passed me on, to the next town that I went to. And so I want to showcase all these people because so many influencers are behind the scenes. Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure that the world knew who they were.
Sure. Well, what that brings up a question, as a female in this industry. I mean, it's talked about as a male dominated industry, and it still is. But there's obviously a big increase in participation from women. What do you think I mean, do you need more female mentors, or do you need more men that are willing to cater to female? Or what's your perspective on women in the outdoors?
Well, I run into very few men that are not catering to women in the outdoors and super supportive. So I know that we hear of women that have bad experiences, but I have never had one. And I've kind of dabbled in as much as you possibly could dabble in. So I'm very fortunate to be able to say that I've had nothing but support and love from the industry that way. As for women, I still don't think there's a lot of them. I mean, they congregate together, so I think that a lot of them appear to be in larger numbers than the reality. But I was traveling 50,000 miles a year for years. I mean, this is my 6th year, so I guess for like 3 or 4 years I've done that, and I'm still the only chick at camp. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, you haven't had bad experiences. And I honestly, I mean, yeah, it's mostly men that we're around, but occasionally when there are women around, I've never seen anything personally or publicly where it's been a bad situation for them. Usually people are pretty open to having whoever wants to come out and hunt. If somebody really wants to do it and wants to learn, I don't think anybody's going to turn that person away, regardless of who they are or anything like that.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, too, about a couple of other things. I'm looking at your website here, annaveoutdoors.com. It says you're an ambassador for SCI. You do a lot with SCI, right?
Oh, yeah. SCI has been amazing for me because for so long, I just shared the message that if we don't have our gun rights, we don't have anything. So we can invest all we want in habitat, and it's so important. So I still promote the message and mission of Quail Forever and Pheasants Forever, and have so many friends that are involved in that organization. But my personal message through Anna V Outdoors was always pay attention to what's really going on. There's fine print that's out there that nobody's paying attention to, that the hunters tend to just get lost in our little bubble and no idea what is going on in DC.
Yeah.
And so those people need support. So it was actually Trevor Santos here in Georgia. I forgot even how we met. It was probably like NRA convention or SHOT Show or something. And he came to me and he says, I hear you say this all the time. Have you ever thought about working with SCI? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, because they haven't had a real big presence, in the upland world. And so once I started working with them, man, all of the people across the country with SCI have just become like family to me. They have mentored my kids. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. I was just with Laird Hamblin, who's the CEO of SCI, just 2 weeks ago at Prairie Wildlife in Mississippi. And we shot Halise together. And then actually we started the season together in California. We started waterfowl season together in California this year. And so I've just been there he is, so fortunate to make amazing friends. And like JC spent the summer in DC. She was interning for CSF, but she got to network with the SCI office there and all those people. So she works convention with me. Convention's coming up at the end of the month. So if you are anywhere near Nashville, you are not going to want to miss this. It is rows and rows and rows of outfitters and vendors in every aspect of the hunting industry. And it feels close, like a little family. So it's kind of broadened my horizons. I mean, I'm still not willing to give up a weekend on my dog's life to sit in a deer stand, but I enjoy looking at the mounts and listening to the stories of the other lodges. And I think that's probably a really cool aspect that I get to do at convention. I did it last year. I'm planning to do again this year, is go around and interview these lodge owners and talk about their family legacy and what has driven them to stick it out in this industry. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding, and everybody has their own personal story.
And
I get motivated from hearing no matter if they're bird dog people or not, you know?
Well, and and you brought up a pretty important point in there that we've really been trying to make that a mission of ours here as well too, is just stand up for our rights as hunters and gun owners. And honestly, it's really the same thing. I mean, a lot of people will differentiate between those two. You have gun owners and you have hunters out there, but in reality, it's the same thing. And when you talk about politicians wanting to restrict gun owners' rights, they're talking directly to hunters, and it just doesn't look like that on paper. And
No.
We started this Fish Hunt Forever. It's our new YouTube channel, and it's a new thing that we're doing here. And the mission behind it is I fish, I hunt, and always will. And the idea is that we're going to be more active in advocacy when it comes to hunters' rights, gun rights, and things like that. Because if we don't stand up for it, and what you talked about, how hunters, we get in our bubble, and you're right, like we just want to go sit in a stand or go walk some grass or whatever, get away from the world, just you and your dog or you and nature, whatever it is, just go live off the land and do your own thing. I think we all want that. But at the same time, if you aren't actively participating in some sort of advocacy or knowing what's going on in politics, knowing what's going on in DC, it'll all get taken away from us eventually. And I know that'll never happen in our lifetimes. Well, it's probably closer than it's ever been, and it's getting closer and closer every day. I mean, if you look at the State of the Union here this week, and them talking about banning assault weapons or whatever, there are people trying to do it and trying to stop us from legally owning guns. So it is something that's very important, and maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm realizing the bigger picture when it comes to the outdoors and things that we enjoy doing and what we love to do. And if you don't have people that take a stand, and that's what makes those conservation organizations, SCI or Pheasants Forever, that's what makes a Ducks Unlimited Delta Waterfowl. That's what makes them so important, is they are out there advocating for us and doing some of that dirty work. And they've got people in Washington that are out there paying attention to bills and legislation that's going on that could affect us as hunters. So it's important for us, if nothing else, to be aware of what's out there and what's going on.
You make a good point about that too. So this is what I've learned, and why it's important not to sell out to one organization. And I've just had this conversation. Now that I'm back down south, I've partnered with a few lodges down here to host events and just help them stay connected with these types of things. And everybody has their niche, right? So when you're looking at outdoor industry organizations, there are some that are pretty much habitat only, and there are some that are just like gun right only, and it takes all of them. So you can't sell out to just one organization and think they're taking care of everything encompassed in the hunting industry, because they can't do that. There's just not enough manpower under one organization to focus on that. So that was another reason why I wanted to team up with SCI, because everybody assumes that it's all about safari hunting. And there's a lot of safari hunting. Lord have mercy. I want to go and wing shoot in Africa now. After meeting these people and doing podcasts, it's just been eye-opening to me about how we can just get lost of what's going on in our backyard. And I'm so guilty of it right now, because I came back to Georgia. I leave for 3 reasons. I mean the house. I leave to take Tater to school, because she's now in public school, because she's been homeschooled for the last 3 years. So she's been in school like 2 months. I leave to go to church, and I leave to go to Chick-fil-A. And that's about it. And so here, like, it's something that we haven't even scratched the surface of, that I just recently went through, is I can no longer have a Facebook.
Yeah.
It went away. My original accounts went away in the summer. So December, when I said, okay, I'm going to reopen my kennel, I'm going to get on Facebook Marketplace and start shopping antiques. I started another account. I was on there for 10 minutes. The only post I had that said, my account had been suspended, I've started another one, like starting over. That's it. So then I get a notification that I breached community standards again. Gone. I'm like, holy smokes, I am on somebody's hit list is what happened.
Yeah, what did you post anything in particular that they flagged, or what was the reasoning behind it?
That was the only post. I just said, hey, y'all, I'm back. So then that was on a Friday. Sunday morning I get up 2 days later and I log onto my Instagram and it's acting funny, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And WhatsApp starts sending me notifications. I get a ransom message from some hacker that they have my Instagram and they are asking for ransom.
Oh gosh.
So I'm like,
what?
Is my career over? Like, I finally figured out what I want to be when I grow up, and now I got to start all over. I'm too old for this. So I literally I fought for it. Man, I've had people in the music industry, SEI, I mean, anybody that had any connection to Instagram try to get my account back. It's been deactivated, so we can't find it. So it looks like I literally been erased off of social media.
Wow.
So here's the kicker. I tried to start a new account. Instagram won't let me start a new account. So luckily, me and my dreaming personality, as Demas says, I'd had a few other accounts that I never did anything with that I just wanted to secure the name. So I was able to go and switch a name on that account. Now, if they delete me again, there's no guarantee that I will ever get to have another social media.
That's ridiculous. Like, what is going on with social media? You know, honestly, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, I thought we might be seeing a turnaround, and maybe we are. You know, there's a lot going on regarding social media in these days. But I don't know either. I mean, and then when you try to have some sort of alternative platform out there, what was that one? Parler? Was that the one that they tried to start? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, we're not going to have it in our app store and this and that, and we're going to show. Amazon had their servers. I think we're going to shut down your servers. It's like, what is this, America? Or, you know, did we get taken over? Maybe we did, and we just don't know it. I don't know, but I'm
just not that important, you know. Like, seriously, I don't know. Like, I really have no idea. So I'm in the process of rebuilding my website. I'm creating a platform of my own where everything that I do encompasses it's on there. It's something that nobody can take away from me, because here's the thing. I'm sad because my followers weren't fake people. Those were friends that I have made traveling this country that I have memories with, the majority of them, you know. I mean, either it was a trade show where we met and just said hello, or it was a ladies event, or it was a Quill Forever banquet somewhere across the country, and now it's all gone. So yeah, I still have the photos, but I don't have the words that express the emotion of the moment.
Well, you're lucky you still have the photos. You know, that's what I worry about with, say, Facebook, because over the years, before I started really using social media to kind of promote what I do, I used Facebook mostly just to archive photographs, just so there'd be something online, because I've lost hard drives and then you lose those forever. So I'm like, oh, Facebook came around. I'm like, I can make little folders. I can make a hunting folder from, 2016, and theoretically they'll always be there. Maybe not so much anymore, but that's what I always used it for.
No, you're the digital guy. You need to be putting them on a hard drive and putting them in your gun safe.
Yeah, well, I do have a few of those too, but I had, or I drop the hard drive and break it.
We have more hard drives than I know what to do.
We have a pile of hard drives.
I'm staring at like 7 of them right now.
So many hard drives. It's ridiculous. But,
it
was like a cloud.
That's been the hurdle.
Yeah, it was like a cloud service for me, really. Then I could access them wherever. But, and I'm looking, you're an ambassador at Turning Point as well?
Yeah, I've done some things with them, but unfortunately, their events are always during hunting season and something very important. So it's like, I'm probably just going to have to stay in the field. And it's really easy to use the excuse, well, I don't have a dog sitter.
I use that one all the time.
Responsibilities. So I'm sorry. But, they're doing really cool things. And my oldest is 20. So she's actually... you
have a 20-year-old?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm old.
Oh, come on. All right.
Chasing those dreams and, in the high gear. But so she's all about ag econ and conservation and how these worlds collide. So the world that I've introduced her to, working with these organizations, like she was part of the NYLC for PFQF, which is their youth program. 20 kids were selected to serve their high school years, and they were mentored and educated with leadership skills and real life conservation information. And that was priceless for her. So I can't say that I've been the biggest influence on her life, but at least my friends gave her opportunity to find her own place in this industry. So I owe them for forever. And, you know, I say all the time, if you have not raised your kids with these organizations, like, you're really missing out on some amazing mentors that give your kids things that they're never going to get with a ball team or in a public school. And I'm a huge FFA fan and supporter, but there's nothing FFA. Like these outdoor orgs, you know? Yeah. And so anyways, now she's at UGA. Well, she went to ABAC, which is like our ag school of the South. She did that for 2 years and loved it. And then was like, okay, next best thing. But when she was in high school, she wasn't driving yet. She fell in love with Ducks Unlimited. And all she ever wanted to do was duck hunt. And I was like, you're going to have to find somebody. I don't know nothing about that life. So I was actually in Birmingham at Caliber, which is a really high-end gun club there, or store. Kim and BC with Ren and Ivy were having like a trunk show. Delta Waterfowl was there. I walked in. I met Kim for the first time. I'm like, that is the cutest chick I've ever seen in my life. She is my new best friend. And so Ren and Ivy is a company. They do really nice luggage style bags or gear bags for hunting. They're out of Mississippi. Okay. So I'm sitting there, we're talking about our kids and all these things. Well, Delta Waterfowl was there and they said, we know if we hear of a kid that wants to hunt, we make it happen. So Delta Waterfowl put a hunt together for my kid. They'd never met. She wasn't with me. And so we did like a lodge hopper in Alabama. And so there was ladies that were working at Caliber. They'd never been on a hunting trip before. And Delta Waterfowl put all this together for us. It was so special. I'll never forget it. And then JC was hooked. She was absolutely hooked being around these people. And I told her, I said, listen, kid, life used to happen on the golf course, but it happens at the lodge now. You better figure this out. Yeah. And so now she's chair of UGA DU, and that was a goal that she had, you know, out of this experience. So she's making waves over there. She's actually taken a break from school right now because she's interning in Governor Kemp's office. And
oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Like, she just does her own thing. She spent the summer with CSF. So it's like, when you talk about these certain organizations and you get into the meat of them, they all work together on certain levels, and they're all important. So
yeah,
well, I encourage people to just find their place in all of them, you know, like now, and that way you have events all year round.
Right. Yeah. And as much as I hate politics, and generally most politicians, there's a few good ones out there, but we need more people like us to get into it and to make things a little bit better out there. So that's great.
Well, Georgia SCI is one big family. We had a tower shoot at Brooms Edge last month. We had so much fun. We're like, well, this really wasn't like an SCI shoot. So let's advertise the next one as an SCI shoot and get everybody here, because there were some people that didn't know about it. So I'll check Taterbug out of school on Friday at lunch. We're going to head down south to Brooms Edge and shoot pheasants with all of our SCI friends in Georgia and just have a blast, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about what the organizations have done for me coming into this industry, not knowing anything, having so much passion and love for the dogs, but not knowing how to make a difference with it.
Yeah. Well, this is great. I know we've had you on for a long time, and we could keep talking about. I could talk about this stuff with you all day probably, but we're gonna let you go for now. We're gonna have you back on again sometime here in the future. We're sorry we're gonna miss you at Pheasant Fest this year.
Oh, I know. I missed that too. And Mr. Jimmy from Prairie Wildlife is winning the Hall of Fame award for conservationists, the Conservationist Award. So please give him a hug for me.
Well, maybe I'll shake his hand because the hug might be a little awkward. But I'll tell him you said hi and congratulations. Anna V, AnnaVOutdoors.com. Where do we find your podcast?
That would be anywhere you listen to your podcast. It's All American Wing Shooting Podcast. And the new Instagram is AnnaVOutdoors_.
AnnaVOutdoors_, AnnaVOutdoors.com. Anna V, thank you for the time here on the show today.
Thank you.
Hear more at sportingjournalradio.com or wherever you get podcasts. Don't miss the 2022 Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic at its new location at Canterbury Park in Shakopee, March 11th through the 13th. This year's Classic features top hunting celebrities like Driven TV's Pat Nicole Reeve, Lee and Tiffany Lukoski of the Crush TV, and Melissa Bachman. Get your antlers scored, view more than 300 antler entries, and see the latest hunting products, plus a great lineup of lodges and outfitters. For complete details on the 2022 Deer and Turkey Classic, visit mndeerclassic.com.